Welcome, my dear listeners. Stay with me to get the spoilers first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen tomorrow on Royal. Edo, Princess Beatrice's husband, is questioning marriage, which is affecting his standing and status. Edo, Princess Beatrice's husband is a man who needs a lot of attention, and things have changed between them. Sources say that Princess Beatrice and Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi are going through a crisis like never before. It's about their marriage and the status he had while married to a princess of the United States of America. A well-placed source who just met with Closure has shared news about this split. They say that the problems are also part of the reason she's been in Palm Beach. Florida reports say that it's not just his business that keeps the property tycoon busy. Edo is a man who needs a lot of attention. He's one of those men. We knows what he's like. He's Italian. According to the outlet, he went from being in €244,000 worth of debt to making €2.2 million in sales in 2024, which was a much clearer change for him since he was married to B. Also, her husband was used to a certain lifestyle and level of access that came with being attached to the royal family. But sources say that doors are closing. There is now a growing sense that he's questioning this new dynamic in the marriage, especially since it has affected his social standing, which is important to him. As for where these problems in the marriage started, a lot of people have been talking about how surprising it is that the couple is splitting up now. For those who don't know, Princess Beatrice's parents are currently facing a lot of criticism from the media and the police. In Andrew's case, because of accusations and wrongdoing against him. People in Sarah Ferguson's inner circle often call her Fergie. The problems mostly come from her getting caught lying about cutting ties with Jeffrey Epstein, who has been found guilty of being a child sex offender. At this point, even her sister has had to leave the anti-slavery charity, the Anti-Slavery Collective, which she helped start in 2017. Her partner in this effort was Julia de Boinville. Their goal is to end modern-day slavery, but because of talk about the trafficking victims her father was photographed with, Princess Eugenie had to step down from her position because of indirect pressure. Beatrice and Eugenie in the spotlight. Why the York sisters are still so watched. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have been in a strange royal position for most of their adult lives. They are the Duke and Duchess of York's daughters, and both are still in line to become king or queen, even though they aren't working royals like the Prince and Princess of Wales. They still get a lot of attention from the public. Beatrice is currently 9th in line for the throne, and Eugenie is 12th. According to the official list of heirs, that truth makes for a strange double life. The York sisters are private women with families, jobs, and lives that don't revolve around the daily workings of the monarchy. They are still royal by birth, still connected to one of the most famous families in the world, and still brought up in public discussions whenever the monarchy is brought up. This means that privacy and public interests are always at odds with each other. This is one reason why so many dramatic stories about Beatrice and Eugenie spread so quickly online. People in the royal family know their names. They know about their family's past, even when the sisters are trying to live quietly. They know that the York history is always in the news. That makes them easy to guess about and easy to make up stories about. But interest is not the same as proof, and the public's interest should not be taken as proof of conflict. In fact, the sisters have often shown that they are close as family. Beatrice and Eugenie released a very personal joint statement when Queen Elizabeth II died in 2022. They called the Queen their matriarch and guide, which is a reminder that even though their lives are very public, their bond with the royal family is also very private and emotional. That emotional side is important because the York sisters have been through some of the hardest times in the monarchy's modern history. For years, people have been talking about their father, Prince Andrew, and that has changed how people see his daughters. Beatrice and Eugene have had to learn how to live with a family story that they didn't choose and can't change in many ways. The problem for them has always been the same: how to be seen without becoming the story. Beatrice's life has become more like a quieter, more homely chapter. In January 2025, the palace announced the birth of her daughter Athena Elizabeth Rose Mapelli Mozzi. This added another level to a family life that has become more private and settled over time. Beatrice already has a daughter named Sienna, and both of her daughters are on the official succession list for the family. Eugene's family life has also become a big part of how people see her in public. The palace said that her sons August and Ernest were born in 2021 and 2023, and the official succession list puts both of them behind her in line. These details are important because they show how the sisters' royal status now fits in with being a mother, getting married, and dealing with the normal stresses of starting a family in unusual situations. In that light, headlines that talk about a big break or a secret fight often tells us more about what people want than about the sisters themselves. In the royal world, being sure is often a good thing, but that's not always the case in family life. Beatrice and Eugene are not immune to pressure, but there is a big difference between being under pressure and being in panic, being under scrutiny and falling apart, and hearing rumors and hearing the truth. It is better to think of their public story as one of endurance than breakdown. It is also important to remember how closely the sisters' public lives are tied to ceremonial events. The royal family officially recorded Eugene's wedding in 2018, including the bridal party and order of service. Beatrice was a visible maid of honor. These royal events helped to strengthen the idea that the York sisters are still a part of the monarchy, even though they don't stand on the front lines every day. That visibility is one reason why people keep a close eye on them. Beatrice and Eugene are in a very interesting middle ground. They are close enough to the crown to matter, but far enough from the center of power to live their lives the way they want to. They are old enough to remember how royal traditions used to work, but they are also modern enough to know how public image works now. That social media, documentary storytelling, and constant online analysis are all around. Beatrice has really liked low-key stability over the past few years. Her marriage to Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi and the fact that they are starting a family have made her public image more stable. Eugenie's tone has also been down to earth. She is married to Jack Brooksbank, has two young sons, and makes regular appearances that feel more like real life than show business. In both cases, the public can see women who have chosen a less public life while still being royal. That's why stories that are based on collapse or exposure often don't feel real. The sisters' true narrative is characterized by adoption rather than melodrama. They have had to deal with family scandals, changing public expectations, and the impossibly high standards that come with being born into the royal family. They have also had to get used to a monarchy that is very different from the one they grew up with. Duty, media strategy, and privacy are always changing. The public might still want a story that is more clear. Royal stories are often told as battles, secrets, and showdowns because those are easy to sell. But the York sisters are better for a more careful reading. They are not dramatic signs of failure. They show how members of the royal family can stay in the public eye, be important, and stay strong without being in the palace's main spotlight. That difference is important. It's simple to make a royal woman the center of attention and even easier to put her in a story she didn't choose. Beatrice and Eugene have both had to deal with being publicly defined by their family's past. But the evidence in the official record points to something much more normal and human. Two sisters living their own lives, raising children, helping each other, and being part of the monarchy's larger story without getting stuck in it. If anything, that's what makes them so interesting. They are royal enough to matter, private enough to surprise, and human enough to show people that not every royal story needs a crisis to be interesting. The York sisters are still a quieter part of the monarchy, one that is shaped more by survival, family, and restraint than by show. And in today's royal world, that might be the most interesting story of all. And this is where the story takes a quieter but much more unsettling turn. Because sometimes the real crisis isn't loud, it's silent. It's the moment when two people start asking questions they can't unask. In my opinion, this doesn't feel like a dramatic collapse. It feels like a slow shift in identity. A shift where love, status, and expectation all start pulling in different directions. And that's what makes this so real and so dangerous. Because when someone begins to question not just their partner, but the life that came with them, everything changes. Is this about marriage, or is it really about identity and belonging? And how do you protect a relationship when the world around it keeps redefining what it means? I can't help but feel this is less about one moment and more about pressure building over time. Pressure from family history, public attention, and the quiet weight of expectation. And here's my honest take. Relationships inside the royal spotlight don't break overnight. They evolve, sometimes in ways no one sees coming. So what happens next? I think we may see a period of distance, not necessarily an ending, but a reset that tests how strong that bond really is. Because if there's one thing we have learned, it's that survival in that world isn't about perfection. It's about adaptation. But here's the question that stays with me. Can a relationship survive when the meaning of status starts to outweigh the meaning of us? And if the spotlight fades, what's left behind? I would really like to know what you think. Do you believe this is just pressure from the outside world or something deeper quietly unfolding? Stay with me because something the calmest royal stories hide the biggest turning points.